and we are going to start off today's stream with a little, Twitter's a little active today, and the NFL is dropping its top 100 lists. I'm not sure if you guys have seen this or not. It's just recently coming out. I'm pretty sure that the 100 to 90 is what they're dropping today. So I wanted to quickly just look at this to start the stream, because literally as I hit start stream, I saw it. Zaire Franklin, number 100. Levante David, 99. Cam Hayward, 98. They've got my boy Terry McLaurin as the 97th best player in the NFL. 94th last year. Get this boy some help. Well, now he's got it with Jaden Daniels. I mean, let's see. Let's see what he can do with the real quarterback. Deion Dawkins, 96. Julian Love, 95. Trevor Lawrence, 94th. He was 96 last year. Gets the big old contract extension. I'm sure the replies will have nothing negative here. I'm fairly confident there will be no negative replies. Let's see. He's garbage. Okay, I mean, I guess we'll have to give it a second for the bots to get in there. They got any other updates, or is that all? Surely they're dropping the top 100. Okay, 92. They've got Aaron Rodgers. He was 51 the previous year. At 93, Harrison Smith. I wonder who 91 is, if they're going to drop it or not. But anyway, thought that was interesting. Let's start off the stream with a little bit of who would you rather. What's up? I see you, Cole. I see you, Joel. Joel says one-handed JSN training camp catches. We're back. What's up, Styles? Welcome in. Welcome in. All right, a little would you rather here to start the stream. Dynasty Superflex. Breece Hall or Jaden Daniels? Breece Hall or Jaden Daniels? I know exactly where I would stand in a Superflex league. A guy who can potentially lead quarterbacks in rushing. That's where I'm probably going to go. I'm going to go with Jaden Daniels. Is there any bias? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. But I think I would lean Jaden Daniels. Superflex. If Breece Hall finishes as an RB2, he's still not going in round 1 of Dynasty startups. Why do I know that? Because he just finished as an RB2 last year. If Jaden Daniels finished top 7, he's probably going as a top 3 pick. Why do I know that? Because last year, CJ Stroud finished as the quarterback 7, right? And he's a top 3 asset. So I think ultimately just, Jonah's right. We all know who you're going with. My guy's Jaden Daniels. But ultimately, just the positional value, I think, is what leads me towards Jaden Daniels. But let's see what the people say. Mystic says Jaden. What's up, Sparrow? Welcome in. Scribble says Jaden. Blue says Breece. Style says that's a good one. I think it's Jaden for me. I think it is very close, though. I think it is very close. So we'll go Jaden Daniels. Let's see. Derrick Henry or T. Higgins. I'm going to go out on a limb and say most of us are probably going to say T. Higgins. I do love Derrick Henry this year. But ultimately, there's a lot of risk with Derrick Henry, All right, how about Trevor Lawrence or Dak Prescott? This is an interesting one. We literally just talked about how the NFL released their top 100. They have Trevor Lawrence as the 94th overall player. They got him at 94. And now we have to ask the question, Trevor Lawrence or Dak Prescott? Dynasty Superflex League. Now, here's a question. If we're playing in the span of 2 to 3 year window, who do we think scores more points? I would have both these guys in the same tier, is what I would say. But I do think I would slightly prefer Trevor. Gets a long-term contract. What could he do with Brian Thomas Jr.? What do the people say? Mystic says Dak. Scribble says T-Law. Sparrow says T-Law. Mystic says I'll take Dak in a 3 year window. Mr. Bakes a lot says Dak all day. Minshew has better career stats than Trevor. Give me T-Law in both scenarios, Scribble says. So I think that's a very, very close one. That's a good call right there. But yeah, to anybody who is a member over on the Flock Fantasy website, I did drop an article this morning, the #1 strategy in fantasy football. There's a lot of historical backing behind this, but this strategy, which is called Anchor Round 2, I don't know if anyone's made that up yet, but Anchor Round 2 is what I'm focused on this year in redraft leagues. There's some historical backing as to why, and it's a very simplified way to help you not mess up the most important picks in fantasy football. So go check out that article if you haven't watched it yet. I also have a video based around it that released on our redraft channel. But if you want to watch the video on our redraft channel and then look at the database as you watch it, you could be a little double bubble there if you want. I'll put that link to that video in the chat. But let's get into a startup mock draft. If you want to join today's mock draft, very, very simple. Step 1 is to join our Discord. So I'll put our Discord link in the chat. Once you have joined the Discord, this is what it's going to look like. Okay, you're going to get the Fantasyland tab here on the left with the orange footballs. And then you will get the announcements tab. All right. So this is where I'm going to drop the link. Link is dropping here like it's hot. Okay. So just so everybody knows exactly where the link is dropping right there. Alex says RBUOY strategy. Is there already a name for that, guys? To the people who have watched that video already, is there already a strategy for that? Let me know. But all right, this is where the link is dropping. So we'll go ahead and drop it here in 3, 2, 1. First come, first serve. This is Superflex, PPR, Titan Premium. I'm sorry to the one quarterback community. It's not that I dislike one quarterback at all. It's just all the leagues that Badaki and I play in. All the leagues that Badaki and I play on is Superflex for Dynasty specifically. But y'all know if you're one quarterback out there during rookie draft season, nobody's helping out more than us, the one quarterback community. So hopefully y'all know we're still showing some love. But we're doing Superflex, PPR, Titan Premium, third round reversal, and 30 seconds on the clock. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. It is startup season, Styles. That's right. Badaki is currently on holiday. Or vacation. He's in New York. You know, just recently had a kid, taking his family, or taking, you know, his wife and his kid to go see his family. Okay, so Pat Mahomes is sitting here. My quarterback one in Dynasty is available at the 103. So I'll happily take him at the 103 there. I just recorded a quarterback and tight end Dynasty ranking video that should come out soon on the channel for you guys. Haven't done that in a long, I think it's been like a year. I think it's been a year since we released a video where we talked about quarterback and tight end rankings. So I figured might as well give y'all a little update there. Stroud off the board. Lamar Jackson off the board. Oh, buoy flotation device. Right. Okay, that makes sense. Devonta Smith at 90. Was it Devonta Smith? Okay, wow. So they put Devonta Smith at 90. I thought he'd be higher than that. That feels a little disrespectful, no? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. All right, so quarterbacks go in the first 6 picks, then wide receivers from 7, 8, 9, then Caleb Williams and Amon-Ra, and Jonah's on the clock. He goes A-Rich and Jordan Love as a start. Remember, this is a third-round reversal, which is not what I want to hear at the 210, but it is reality. Ashland gets Amon-Ra and Herbert to start. Mr. Bakeslot says the Slim Reaper should be higher. I kind of agree, man. I kind of agree. All right, so obviously we're getting into training camp season and all that. What's the biggest piece of hype news that you guys are excited about or that you believe in? You know, we talked about the JSN video. Let me see if I can find that. Let's see if we can find the JSN video. Yeah, here it is. The one-handed catch. But let's be honest, they're not playing in pads, and I love JSN though. But to be honest, he probably gets knocked the hell out if this is a real game. That's actually not a very good pass. Okay, so BG's going no QB in the first 2 rounds. Different strategy. The only one to do it. We see Kyler Murray at the 205 with CeeDee Lamb. Jaden Daniels at the 206 with Justin Jefferson. Xavier Worthy snatching that improv touchdown bomb. That was cool to see, Casey. Styles says Rashad Bateman, 3rd-year breakout. No, this is the year. This is the year, guys. Is it the year? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Blue is loving the Bijan hype. Yeah, I think Bijan could have a huge, huge year. I mean, definitely in contention for RB1 overall finish. As Garrett Wilson goes off the board at the 208, then Breece Hall. And I'm up on the clock. Okay, interesting. All right, we're gonna grab Brock Purdy here. I don't want to push it too far. I feel like I'm about to be out of a range of quarterbacks that I really like. Like if I knew Jared Goff would be there at the 403, I'd probably hold. But it's just a little too risky for me. All right, let's see the strat. Let's see the strat, Blue. Joshua says Bateman is going to break out this year like Treylon Burks broke out last year. In an alternate reality, if you guys have watched Community, in an alternate reality, Treylon Burks is the wide receiver 1 in Dynasty. 3rd-year breakout, going to be tough since it's his 4th year. Well, it'll be the 3rd straight year he's going to break out, though. I think that's what people are saying. This will be the 3rd straight year he breaks out. All right, so Jano with a 3 rookie starts, if you will. He starts Caleb, Marvin, and Malik Neighbors. So he pretty much gets the 101, the 102, and the 104 in most leagues. It's a risky strat, but it could pay off. Jonah gets Sam Laporta at the 301. Drake London goes at the 305. Blue says, as tempting as CMC was, he finally goes quarterback at the 304 with Dak Prescott as his QB1. London goes at the 305. The 306, Tyreek Hill. Aselmo starts 2 quarterbacks with Burrow and Lawrence. J-Mac starts with Lamar Jackson, Garrett Wilson. And I got to start scheming up my next pick here. What we doing, J-Mac? What we doing? Is it going to be... I don't know if that's an auto or if that's the pick, but the pick is off the board. Okay, we are going to grab a wide receiver here. What just happened? That was strange. We're going to grab Nico Collins. We're going to grab Nico Collins at the 310. There's a couple other names I feel really good about falling to the 403, so let's see what Joel does here. And I said if Jared Goff made it to the 403, I would be upset that I passed on Purdy, and Jared Goff doesn't make it. Oh, I just realized that must have been some glitch on my screen then. So there goes CMC. I didn't even know CMC was available. I might have considered him. But Sleeper's tripping out. There goes Jalen Waddle. I bet you Joel was trying to get that stack with Waddle, so he's probably a little bit tilted about that. There goes Ayuk off the board. And that is great. Wow. I mean, we have so many good options available to us right here. Oh my goodness. All right, I'm about to. I don't want to miss out on one of these elite tight ends in a tight end premium, so I'll grab Kincaid there, and let's see how the rest of this round goes. Jonas says, I think I was supposed to grab Neighbors and Nakua since other tight ends I really like might be there at 412. Let's see, man. I mean, if you don't go Laporta there, maybe he goes at the 309. But it definitely made me think about Kincaid. Gibbs and CMC, that is a great start. Yeah, I wish I knew CMC was available at my pick. I mean, I just thought he went off the board, but sleeper's tripping, I guess. They got me tripping. All right, so J-Mac goes Drake May at the 405. 3 quarterbacks to start. I'm sure that's not what Team 1, Styles, Team 7, Team 8, Team 9, Team 10 were hoping. That another quarterback might come off the board there. Tank Dell goes off the board at the 406. All right, give me in the chat, I want to know, who do you think gets the least targets in Houston this year? This has been a big debate all offseason. I want to know your answer. If I said, who out of the big three gets the least amount of targets in Houston, your answer would be... Let's find out. Guys, out of the big three, all right? So let me clarify. Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, and Nico Collins. Who gets the least amount of targets? That's what I want to know. All right, so Brandon says Nico. He thinks Nico gets the fewest amount of targets. Don't do my boy Xavier Hutchinson like that, Styles. All right? Are you trying to make me cry on the live stream? Are you actively trying to make me cry? Waffle says Dell. Alex says Tank. Dell. Collins. Casey says Collins. All right, I want to hear why, Casey. Tell us why. Brandon says, I think Tank has less targets, but I think he has more yards. I can totally see that happening. That doesn't sound crazy to me at all. Diggs. Casey says Collins has the least targets, but the most touchdowns. I'll show you guys the way I have it projected out personally. As we see J.J. McCarthy off the board, Devonta Smith, Pittman, Kyron, Mark Andrews. And there goes Kyle Pitts. That makes me feel better about taking Kincaid at the 402 then. I felt a little bit bad about it, but now I feel a little bit better. Okay, so this is how I have it projected out. And I think we might upload my projections to the Flock Fantasy site as an article, as a database, if you guys want it. I'm not 100% sure yet, can't guarantee. But if you look over here on the left, targets, the percentage of the targets, I have Stephon Diggs getting 22%, Tank Dell at 19 here, and then Nico Collins at 21%. I do think that the Houston Texans are going to be a top 5 passing volume offense. With them adding Stephon Diggs and us knowing how good CJ Stroud was, I think they're really going to let him rip it through the air this year. But I would not be surprised at all if Tank ends up having more yards than some of these guys. I mean, if you look at Tank Dell last year, he had a 20% target share when healthy. But now, obviously, they add Stephon Diggs. What I want to look at is I want to look at his yards per route run or yards per reception. He was up there in the 15 range. Nico was very high as well. I think around 17, if I'm not mistaken. We'll look at that in a second. Damn. Really wanted Metcalf. Really hoping Metcalf was going to fall to me there. You just broke my heart in a small little piece, Styles. But that's okay. We're on the board here. Lots of great options still. I love this. Okay, we'll go Pickens. We'll go Pickens at the 5'10". Y'all know I'm a Pickens guy. I think there is a breakout coming up for him. Emilio thinks Diggs is #1 in targets, contract year. I feel that way as well. I think it'll be close, but I think Diggs might get the larger share. And the reason I feel that way is because if you think about it, Nico, Tank Dell, they are down the field threats. Between all these names, I'm up on the clock here, and we will grab... We'll grab Ladd here. We'll grab Ladd as our wide receiver 3. Okay, so between all these names, all right? Collins, Dell, Diggs. If you're going to try and scheme up simple plays, screen plays, slants, operating over the middle of the field, of those 3 names, who makes the most sense to scheme those plays up for? For me, I think it's Stephon Diggs. That's the easiest way to keep getting first downs. You can't throw the ball down the field every single play. So ultimately, I think Diggs will get the most targets, but I think he will have by far the lowest yards per reception of these names. I still think Dell and Collins will be good, but their targets are going to be down the field. Alex says Nico red zone, Diggs safe out, Tank big play. Yeah, I kind of feel that way too. It's John Mechie season. Jonas says, I was considering ruining the draft by taking Pitts and Andrews on the turn. How would that have been? I mean, look, funnily enough, every time we've done a stream in the past like couple weeks, it feels like someone goes double tight end really early, whether it's redraft or dynasty. And every time I don't think it's a good strategy, but that doesn't mean it's the wrong strategy. Brandon says, I have no idea, but as a Texans fan, I'm just excited. I agree. It's got to be exciting if you're a Houston fan. When's the last time Houston had this kind of expectations? I mean, I know in the Watson days, obviously they were like always in the playoff conversation. But on paper, has Houston ever had a team this good? Even in the Deshaun Watson era? I don't think so. Are we concerned about the second half that Diggs had last year? For sure. Like, look, it is concerning. Here's what I'll say about Stephon Diggs. Would it be a huge big red flag for me if there was no change in the coaching staff? Yes. Okay. But the reality is Diggs' production and the change in offensive coordinator have a direct correlation. It happened at the same exact time. Diggs' fall off is exactly in the same timeline that they changed their offensive coordinator. Right, from they went from who was it to Joe Brady. So that's why I'm not as concerned, because it was in the same year he was putting up huge numbers and he was still producing. He was a top 5 guy before the offensive coordinator change. But if we flip that around and there was no coordinator change and he just falls off second half of the season, then that would be a different story for me. And you know what? Sometimes that just happens. Sometimes defenses just start to adjust, and as an offense, you don't have an answer to it. I mean, I promise you, we don't want to look at A.J. Brown second half of the season if that's how we're thinking. A.J. Brown, let's think about this, right? Just to show you how, like, we shouldn't overthink some things sometimes, right? What was A.J. Brown doing? Where was it? These numbers aren't right. Let me try and find out the actual splits for A.J. last year. Let's see. Okay, A.J. Brown last year was an absolute monster from weeks 1 to 9. So before the bye week. So from weeks 1 to 9, A.J. Brown is your wide receiver 2, averaging almost 23 points per game. All right. From weeks 10 onwards, you know, they had a bye in week 10, so let me be fair. From weeks 11 to 18, A.J. Brown is your wide receiver 30, averaging under 11 points per game. So, look, ultimately, sometimes you don't have an answer once a defense adjusts, or if they're playing shell high. There's a lot of factors that go into it, but no, it doesn't concern me because, like I said, there's a direct correlation as to why that might have happened. But I definitely understand why people might be concerned about it. I'm not going to sit here and say like it's not a legit concern that people should or could have. Okay, cool. We'll grab our quarterback 3 and Deshaun Watson here. Eagles fell apart when he didn't produce, sure. But at the same time, we have a rationale, a reason as to why Diggs' production changed, right? Hopefully that makes sense, guys. Mr. Bakes-A-Lot says Diggs is going to be all that odd man out, just a decoy. Man. I just don't agree, but let's see. Let's see, man. Colada says, will Von Miller get more sacks than Kyle Van Noy? I have no idea, man. I have no idea. I mean, I don't know. Oh, no. Blue says, bro, chill. Let me take a quarterback. I mean, brother, we're in the 7th round and you got one quarterback. That's kind of on you, Blue. That's kind of on you. You're my boy, Blue. All right, I'm on the clock. I should probably pay attention here. All right, we'll grab Mike Evans here. We'll grab Mike Evans as our wide receiver 4. There goes Penix. I love that strategy. Well done, Styles. Not in love with the wide receiver room. Let's see what you can do late, but the Cousins Penix back-to-back picks in the Superflex startup is beautiful. It's art. Casey says, traded Diggs for a 27 first from a pretty bad team. Yeah, that's... If you can get a first for Diggs in anywhere, you do that for sure. Brandon says, Texans had a pretty damn good team in 2011 with Schaub, but the injury ruined it. Okay, yeah, I remember that. Matt Schaub, University of Virginia legend. I don't know if y'all know that, Matt Schaub. I actually watched Matt Schaub play at Scott Stadium. This was back in the day. He was drafted in the 3rd round in 2004, but he had some pretty good seasons. His junior year was 2002, 28 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Again, I was in attendance for some of these games as a child. That's actually a great segue to my solo channel. I will be live streaming some college football content. We are rebuilding the Virginia Cavaliers. I'll put that link in the chat. It's just fun. It's just something to take my mind off of work, something to have fun with. Come join me. I'll be streaming literally after this stream. So if you want to come join me, have fun, I'll put that link in the chat there. But yeah, shout out to Matt Schaub. That's a throwback. We see Coleman, Kirk, Swift, Stafford, Kupp, Rodgers, Henry, and Ingram off the board. I really, really love the build from Jonah. It is a little bit of an older build with Henry, Adams, and Debo. But I like the strategy so far. Joel says I'm running circles around this mock, bud. What's up, Jeremy? He says Dell for a first and 25. All depends on where that first is projected. Like if you think that's the worst team in your league that you're getting that first from, I'll take the first round pick. But if it's a contender, I'll probably just hold Dell. So yeah, all comes down to the context there for me. All right, Jake Fergie at the 904. Then we see David Montgomery. I think I'm the only team without a running back at this point. And you know, just doing it out of spite now. Jokes. Did BD get a quarterback yet? Okay, he got Stafford. I was gonna say, like, how far is he pushing it back now? Chris Godwin off the board. I like that. Ricky Pearsall could be a great pick if Ayuk gets traded for real. What are you doing, Styles? What are you thinking? All right, so you go Calvin Ridley. Yeah, I was definitely thinking Calvin there as well. I feel like I'm about to go out of a tier I like at wide receiver. So let's grab Leggett here at the 9-10. And let's see what we get back here. Hannah, thank you for the super chat. Very kind. Let's make sure we answer this. 10 teams, Superflex, start 10. Half PPR, what would it take for you to tier down from Devonta Smith to Jordan Addison? Huh. Good question. I mean, I think something like a... Devonta Smith has a wide range of opinions in the industry. I'll grab Alvin Kamara here. That's perfect as my RB1 in the 10th round. Oh, y'all better be careful now. Y'all better be careful. Oh, no. I'm running the laps out here. Okay, so to tier down from Devonta Smith to Jordan Addison. You know what? Why don't we utilize the Trade Finder tool on the Flock Fantasy site? Now, if you're a member with us over on the Flock Fantasy site, you'll have access to this Trade Finder. And you essentially will find real trades in real leagues. Now, if you haven't signed up yet... I'll put a link in the chat where you can become a yearly Mother Flocker member. All right. I just put the link in the chat. You can unlock all the premium tools. You can get a free team review. But in the Trade Finder, what I'll do is I'll put Devonta Smith and I'll put Jordan Addison. And now we can see real trades that have happened in sleeper leagues. And we can make it more specific. We only want to look at half and full PPR leagues. You're in a 10-man Superflex, so let's only look at Superflex. And let's narrow it down to 10-man leagues. So these are some trades that have happened recently in 10-man leagues. Someone got Addison Goddard in a second. I think you need more if you're going to tier down from Smith. Like a second-round pick is enough for me. Let's see. These are all quite old, so let's add in 12-man leagues as well. So someone got Smith, Walker, Etienne. They sent away Collins, Addison, Taylor. Devonta Smith in a first for Addison and a Dunze. So you can kind of see what's going around. My idea was going to be something like this. This trade was done 23 days ago. But instead of it being a third and a second, I need that to be a first and a second. So I'd like to do a pick swap, essentially, where I get Jordan Addison in a first. I send Devonta Smith in a second. That's the kind of trade I'm thinking about personally. And make sure it's worth it. Make sure you're not sending like the 112 or getting the 112 for the 202. But that's the kind of route I'd probably take in a trade down. So yeah. Appreciate you, Hannah. Thank you for the donations. Very, very kind to you. All right, in round 10, we see quite a few running backs off the board. Then we see Geno Smith, who I was asking myself, which of these two guys who are going late quarterbacks going to get Geno Smith? Ashlyn ends up pulling the trigger on Geno in the 11th round. I really like that. Style says, do you think one of Ayuk or Debo are definitely not on the Niners after 2024? Yes. I mean, like, definitely. I can't say definitely, but it would be like my belief that one of them is probably not a Niner. If that makes sense. Like, if I had to, like, say what I think one of them is probably not a 49er. Creed Bratton, all the way from Scranton, Pennsylvania, with a super chat. Thank you, brother. He says, hey, 12-team, start 9, super flex. Would you trade Olave and Cup for A.J. Brown? No, I don't think I would. I would probably just keep Olave and Cup. But if you're saying you get like A.J. Brown and Jermaine Burton, for example, like I'm just thinking of like other options, like A.J. Brown and Polk, A.J. Brown and Pearsall, A.J. Brown and Jamison Williams, just thinking about some names that have come off the board, then that's a little bit more enticing to me. Ben Sinnott comes off the board at the 1106. Yeah, Styles agrees. He says this is too expensive. Selmo goes Kendre Miller. That breaks my heart. Oh, that also breaks my heart. Are y'all trying actively to hurt me? I'm joking. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. What's up, John? JJ over Lamb and Chase. That's the way it went here. But I think all three of those guys have a chance to go over the other at this point. We see that pretty consistently. I grabbed Jaylen Warren here. Yeah, I actually don't mind that as my RB2. Jaylen Warren and Tony Pollard, I thought both were pretty good options there. I do think Zamir could have a breakout year. Yes, I do. I mean, I'm kind of on an island there. A lot of people are comparing it to Alexander Mattison. I think that's an oversimplification. I don't think Mattison is as good as Zamir White is, and in games he hasn't been as good as Zamir White has been. But considering the identity of that offense, yeah, I definitely think he could break out. We're gonna grab Josh Downs. I think that's maybe like 3 of the last 5 startup drafts I've gotten Josh Downs, which is really weird because he was one of my biggest sells last offseason. So yeah, that's strange. I'm not gonna lie, I actually planned on doing exactly what Styles just did. I planned on grabbing Jalen Wright and then Mostert on the comeback. Shout out to Kim K. But I'm a little shocked you did that, Styles, with only 4 wide receivers. But to be fair, I guess you only had the 2 running backs. Miami backfield on lockdown. I like it. Scribble says he's the Josh Downs guy now. Oh my gosh. How a year changes everything. Last year, I was like, sell Josh Downs, get a 24 second for him. Honestly, I think that was I think that was the right move looking back. A 24 second for Josh Downs. But now he's just so cheap. I mean, how can I not grab Josh Downs? Where did Adonai Mitchell go? That's a good question. Adonai went at the 10:08. Okay. It's called maximizing your value. Zach, sell him for a second last year, buy for a third now. Yeah, exactly. What's up, Johnny? Or Jeremy John, sorry. He says, Ferguson, tight end premium. Should I draft Bowers at the 106? In Superflex, no way for me. In one quarterback, absolutely. But I'm assuming you're asking Superflex. That means you're not going to draft in a Superflex league Drake May, maybe. And I can't I can't not take a quarterback with top 10 draft capital in Superflex League. But of course, if your premium's huge, then maybe we have a different conversation. My guy Dontavion Wicks comes off the board, unfortunately. But, all right. Hey, guys, we are going to... I am going to grade a couple people's teams on today's stream. So I'm going to go ahead and get stuck into that. We will look at the mock draft as we go. But if you want your team reviewed, it's very, very simple. I'll put a direct link in the chat for you here now. If you're watching later, it will be in the pinned comment and in the description. But if you want your team reviewed from us, very simple. There's two ways you can do it. You can go to the Flock Fantasy website, flockfantasy.com/land, L-A-N-D, and become a yearly Mother Flocker member. That's the best bang for your buck. You'll unlock all the articles, all the premium tools, rankings, etc. Now, the other option, which it doesn't matter what promo code you use at sign up, is by going to the a la carte store with the link that I just put in the chat. It'll take you to the website, which looks like this. Select the league, the team you want us to look at. Make sure the rookie picks are correct. If they're not, add in any rookie picks that are missing. Enter your Discord name, any information you want us to know. When you click next, you'll see Zach and Badaki, the land crew. And you got a couple options now. Every team will be reviewed on a live stream. But if you want your team to be reviewed straight away and you want to skip the queue, that's an option for you. Let's say you're watching right now and you're like, actually, I want to review right now. I don't want to wait. That's an option for you. A lot of people ask for that. And then you can now buy 2 reviews for a cheaper price than one if you had 2 teams that you wanted us to have a look at. So that's an option for you over there on the Flock Fantasy site. But the first team that we are looking at, I'm about to get into it. I'll make my next 2 picks and then we'll get into it. And yeah, we'll grab Austin Eckler here. Absolutely. In the 13th round. Perfect. That actually worked out really, really well. But the first team we're going to look at is from Larry Bird Gang Jr. Which I love. Larry Bird Gang Jr. Okay, cool. So now he knows that we're doing his review. And Russell Wilson that late is kind of crazy too. Let's make a final pick here. Yeah, we'll go Gus the Bus. I really, really like the way this team worked out. But, okay. Larry, SteviePipes is your name. Thank you for the support, man. Thanks for becoming a member. And, all right, let's have a look at the context here for your league. Startup League drafted 2 weeks ago. Have already made some post-draft moves, acquired London and Njoku, had to part ways with Zach Moss and a second in the process, looking to push some value up to be the clear front runner this season, but battling the idea of selling early on some players I expect to rise in value, Jason Reed, namely. Does this team feel like mostly hold for now? And if values do rise for my young players, who would be some good in-season targets for strategic moves? So that's all very good information for me to know. And we will have a look at your squad here. I just want to pin this comment. That way y'all can see it no matter what. Okay, let's have a look at the team. So this is a 10-man league, start 9, and it is Superflex. So let's pull out the old whiteboard here. And let's have a look at what we can do with your team. Alrighty. So like we said, 10-man start 9, Superflex. So start 9 means you can start 4 receivers total. I'm guessing that's the format that we're rocking with for this league. Okay. So our team name is Larry Bird Gang, and currently in the community, you're ranked 3rd. This league has very good, even distribution of talent and draft picks. It's a very even league, which is good to see. In a Superflex league, you've got Joe Burrow, Brock Purdy, Jaden Daniels. Your quarterback room is stacked. Really good job. Obviously, 10-man, though, it's going to be easier to have a better team. At running back, you got Bijan, Jonathan Brooks, Jalen Wright, Kendre Miller, Gus Edwards, Antonio Gibson. I really, really love that running back room. Top heavy. A lot of names that might break out, and Gus Edwards to hold you off. At wide receiver, we have Olave, London, Brian Thomas, Jaden Reed, JSN, Burton, and Samuel. And at tight end, we have Laporta. This is a great team. Next year, you have your first, and you have your first in 26. This is a very, very good team. It is 10-man, so I have to keep that in mind. Where would you rank in my rankings, I wonder? Oh, is it going to let me show it? Okay, let's go back to this review and refresh this page. Come on. All right, pulling up my rankings. I would actually have you ranked second in your league. Really good team, man. I mean, I would say this is on like B+, A- territory. I'll say B+ for now. What you're really lacking in a 10-man is you're lacking like a true number one alpha receiver, like a top 5 guy. Clearly, London can develop into that. Same with Olave, but as of right now, they're not those guys at this point. So I think really, I'm not worried about my running back room. I'm not looking to change my quarterback room. Obviously, we have Sam Laporta. We maybe can tear down from him and stay in a really good range. But I think I want to get a true superstar receiver. That's really the main path forward, is trade for a top elite wide receiver. All right, players we can try to move. Purdy is someone we can move to get this done because of our quarterback room already being so good. You have Russell Wilson, don't you? Russell Wilson, I would say we can also talk about Sam Laporta and maybe Jaden Reed. Laporta, Reed, and we said Wilson too. These are some of the names that we can move, I think, to get a deal done. What's up, Badaki? Welcome in, brother. He says, get rid of Olave. Classic. Just Olave off the team. Hopefully you're enjoying your holiday, man. Okay, let's look at Laporta first. I'd like to tear down from Laporta. And ideally, if there's a team that has a tight end we still love, we can look at what their wide receiver room looks like. So, for example, Kincaid, even Kincaid and Collins. I wonder if we can find our way into that. So, like Laporta for Kincaid and Collins. And we're going to give you Laporta and Reed. Like, try that. That might be a good first step. I don't think I'm accepting that if that comes my way. But, for example, Laporta and JSN for Kincaid and Collins, I would do that as well. Laporta and... I guess you could do like a second in 2026 for Collins. I would do that as well. Collins is a little bit undervalued in the community right now. And we'll swap this to the community ranking so we can see that. Yeah, we're looking at tight ends. Okay, cool. So that is an option if you can find your way into Dalton Kincaid. The other option, and with this team actually, you could also look at quarterback. So for example, you can send him Purdy. Actually, you might be able to do a blockbuster with this guy. So you're going to send him Purdy plus Laporta. You're going to get back Bo Nix plus Kincaid plus Garrett Wilson as a baseline offer. He definitely needs a quarterback that still makes Nix your quarterback 3. You still have Russell Wilson. You still get Dalton Kincaid, and you upgrade at wide receiver big time. JoJo McCarthy has Trey McBride. If we can find our way into Trey McBride and A.J. Brown, that's ideal. So if we can send Laporta, and we want to get back A.J. Brown and McBride, we're going to have to send Laporta and probably Laporta and does this guy need any quarterback help? No, not really. I'd say you need to send Laporta and Brian Thomas. I think that might get you in that range as well. Those are really the main guys I want to tier down from. But if we went the Kyle Pitts route, there's not really a name there that excites me enough to do that. I don't mind Mark Andrews here if you can find your way into Marvin Harrison. That could be huge, actually. So Laporta plus something for Andrews and Marvin Harrison Jr. That could answer a lot of your issues. Let's say Brian Thomas Jr. Would that get the deal done? I mean, does that even interest the player? It's worth finding out. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I wouldn't tear down any further than this, though, at tight end. At quarterback, who needs help at quarterback? And can they help us at receiver? So this guy's got Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's perfect. Can we send him Purdy for Amon-Ra St. Brown? We'll give him Purdy and let's say Purdy and Reed. We're going to have to get something back in that. Purdy and Reed for Amon-Ra and something. Let's say Amon-Ra and I mean, you can go Hollywood here. You could go Corum. You could go Geno. That kind of range. Hollywood, Corum, Geno. I'd say plus a second, and you send them a third. That's the kind of range we're thinking here. Who else needs a quarterback? James Hammer. Yeah, he could definitely use a quarterback, and he's got Neighbors, Chase, Adunze. So can we do that same deal? But instead of Amon-Ra, it's Chase. Can we do a similar deal, but instead of Chase, we're going after Neighbors? Let's say the same as the Marvin Harrison deal. No, but he doesn't need tight end, so it'd have to be a different structure. So let's say Purdy and let's just say Purdy straight up for Neighbors. That could actually work out really well. You still have Russell Wilson and Aiden O'Connor as your quarterback 3. But in a 10-man, you might have to pay slightly more. So let's also throw in like a pick swap. Maybe a third and a fourth to get it done. See if that interests him. Might have to pay a little bit more, but that's a starting baseline. This guy who has Baker Mayfield as his quarterback 2 has a lot of great options. You could maybe find your way into Justin Jefferson with a similar deal as we talked here for Chase. Although I need to look at Chase's team, because instead of, we'll make it Jameson, Wicks, Tajay. Jameson, Wicks, Tajay. And then for Justin Jefferson, Purdy, Reed in a third. I think you just take Jefferson in a second at that point. So that's a lot of options there. Ultimately, you're really just one elite receiver away from competing. This guy's got Kyler and Dak. He's not going to really be interested. everyone else, they have enough quarterbacks where they're probably not looking for a trade. So yeah, really, that's the main path forward I would take for this team. We have the quarterbacks to play around. If it's ideally it's Purdy that we're moving, and if we can move Purdy, find our way into a top 10 locked and loaded receiver, a Neighbors, a Jefferson, and a Monra, a Chase, that kind of range is really ideal. If we can tear down from Laporta and still end up with a Kincaid, a McBride, that's ideal. A Mark Andrews we talked about. So really, you've done a lot of the hard work yourself, but I think that's the main path forward for me. I mean, as I look at your team, I don't want to move Burrow or Daniels. I don't want to move Bijan or Brooks. And Wright and Miller are guys I want to have as wild cards. London, Olave, I know, Badaki wants to sell Olave. I don't feel that way. So I'd rather hold him and London. Brian, Reed, and Jason are all guys that you can move. So let's play best case scenario here for you. Let's say we get the Collins deal done. And let's say we turn... I don't know. I mean, let's just say we get the Chase deal done. So you don't have Purdy, Reed, Laporta, or JSN. Okay, you no longer have Purdy, Laporta, Reed, or JSN. But what we do have is Dalton Kincaid still at tight end. Our wide receiver room now is Nico Collins, Jamar Chase, Olave, London. That's fantastic. We still have Bijan and Brooks. We still have Burrow and Daniels. I think that's probably best case scenario for you. So just finding teams who have a need at quarterback, guys that you can tear down with tight ends, and trying to get an elite receiver on your team. I really think that's what you're missing. And last thing I'll say is I haven't talked about your draft capital. Reason being is your league is so evenly split across the board. I wouldn't feel that comfortable sending my first round pick away. So yeah, that's the route I would take myself. Hopefully that is helpful. Thank you again for becoming a member. Thanks for showing some love, some support. And please let me know if you have any questions. Port Jeff says, thank you. I understand I'm going to probably need to reload this year. Okay, so we're going to look at PortJeffBeacher. Port Jeff, if you are with us in the chat, let me know. But it is time to look at your team. And you said, I think I'm in need of a rebuild, but not sure where to start. And by the way, if you're out there and you want your team reviewed, I'll put a link in the chat for you to get a team review from us. But he says, I understand that I'm probably going to need to reload this year and looking for a recommendation on possible targets. We are also going to conduct our rookie draft this week. Awesome. So that sounds like I'm going to be able to be very helpful for you. And I actually want to make sure we send the whiteboard over to the team that we just reviewed, so they have that. So let me quickly send this whiteboard over. Let's see, where is it? How did it not save? All right, sorry guys. I just want to make sure we send this to him. All right, did that finally save? Yes. And that has been sent. And let me also, in case he missed the stream, send the link to the stream as well. Okay, cool. All right. Now we can have a look at your squad here. Talk about some directions that we can go. So it sounds like you feel like you need to reset, you need to rebuild. Let's have a look at your team and see if we agree. Team name PortJeffBeacher. Right now, you're middle of the pack. So you're ranked. Where are you ranked? You're ranked 6th in the league, according to community rankings. You've got 3 big old shacks who are kind of running the league here. It is a 12-man start 10 tight end premium. Start 10 is what we're rocking with here. 12-man start 10 tight end premium. So we can start 5 receivers at a time. That's good information to know as we continue here. And let's have a look at the team. We've got Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields. Okay. All right. I see why you think you need to rebuild. It's starting to make sense now. Half PPR league, start 10, 12 teams. Oh, wait. It's not Superflex, though. This is 1 quarterback. Okay, hold on. I might view this in a different light. But start 10 1 quarterback means you can start 6 receivers in total. Okay, start 10 1 quarterback. So Jalen Hurts is a fantastic starter. Perfect. You don't really need a quarterback 2, but obviously you'd prefer one that's better than Fields. You've got Breece Hall, Tony Pollard, Mostert, Alvin Kamara. So far, you're starting an incredible lineup. If I'm just thinking quarterback, running back, I can start Hurts, Breece Hall, and a combination of Kamara, Mostert, Pollard. At wide receiver, this is where things fall off. We've got Olave, Deontay, Diggs, Lockett. And then at tight end, only Noah Fant. So, yeah, look, overall, I kind of get it now. So, let's think about this. Your ideal starting lineup here. At quarterback, Hurts. At running back, Breece, let's say Kamara. At wide receiver, Olave, Deontay. Now we have to find 4 flexes. So we can flex Diggs. We can flex Pollard and Mostert maybe. We're still kind of missing any other flex spot. And not to mention if any injuries happen. You can maybe start Lockett. I mean, he wasn't really a great flex last year, but who knows? Maybe the new offense changes things for him. I like Noah Fant a lot. Now, you do have your rookie draft coming up. How were you the 111? So that means you were probably 2nd in your league then. Okay. Blue, is this your team? Is this your team, Blue? Let me know. Okay, so scenario 1 is stick and pick. Okay, right. I just want to make sure. All right, so stick and pick, scenario 1. I don't think there will be another scenario for your team considering you're rebuilding. But at the 111 and a 1 quarterback, I got to rethink this. Not super flex, 1 quarterback. I got to pull up my rookie rankings. Just been a minute. So at the 111 in my rankings, you're looking at a Benson. I doubt Brooks is there. You're looking at a... I mean, Ladd McConkey should be long gone in a 1 quarterback. Same with Xavier Worthy. Same with Brian Thomas. Those guys should all be top, 6 to 7 to 8 picks. I doubt Brock Bowers is there. Let me just say in order of my preference, but I doubt these names will be there. I think, obviously... All right, let's be realistic. I think Benson... Brooks and Benson, I don't think either of them will be there. But if they are, clearly we prefer them. Obviously, Bowers would be the preference over these names in a 1 quarterback. But I doubt Bowers is there. I think you could actually consider a Daniels or a Caleb if you want to sell Hurts. But I think you got Pearsall as an option who could fit your team, especially considering you don't need to win right now. Coleman. That's the kind of range you're in right there. Or Daniels or Caleb. And again, we go Daniels or Caleb if we end up selling Jalen Hurts. That's the only reason we would do that. What's up, Daniel? Welcome in, man. All right, at the 211, we're targeting... So the 211 in a 10-man. Wait. 12-man, sorry. So at the 211, that's 20, my 23rd overall player. We're looking at names here like Jalen Wright. We're looking at names like, I mean, Corum's probably gone, but I'll add him to the list. Corum, Lloyd, Wright. We can throw in Burton, Franklin. Like your Corleys, your Wilsons. I'll add Adonai as well here. That's the kind of range you're thinking about at that point. Honestly, even Senate is an option here as well, but I don't think this is a tight end premium. Oh, it is a tight end premium. Then definitely Senate will pop ahead of, probably right ahead of Burton there, actually, in a one quarterback tight end premium. So those are your options. And then at the 311, that's what, the 35th pick. So you're kind of you're dumpster diving here with like Estime, Davis, Irving. Maybe you can even go Penix here. Sanders, Tyrone Tracy. You're trying to hit on a dart throw here, and then just BPA at the 411. Now, I actually don't see a scenario in which you sell these picks because you are clearly looking to reset. So let's not really go through that. But I don't think Bowers, Brooks, or Benson's ideal. But let's say in an ideal world, you get Benson or Corley. Or sorry, Benson or Pearsall. I think that's your ideal round one. Your ideal round two. Remind me who your running backs are. You've already got Mostert, so it would be nice to cover off that backfield if you can get Wright or Sinnott. I think Wright or Sinnott is probably your ideal round two, considering you have Noah Fant as your starter right now, and it's a tight end premium format. So let's just play out the world where, let's say you get the second of both of these names. So you get Pearsall and Sinnott. So now you got a team that at least has a young tight end, good draft capital on an ascending offense. I still like Noah Fant, but your future looks better at tight end in a premium league. At wide receiver, you add a name that we know will gain value. Okay, we just absolutely know you're going to gain value here with Ricky Pearsall. If Ayuk leaves, if Debo leaves, they're going to have to figure that out. But if they do, Ricky Pearsall's value is going to skyrocket, and you don't even need Ricky to be good this year if you're actually trying to, hit the reset button a little bit. But I think the main path forward is tier down city for this team. Right now, if I had to give your team a grade from an A to a F, I'd probably put you like, just being honest, D plus to C minus range. That's actually pretty harsh. I'm going to say C minus. I think you're a C minus. You just don't have the depth to really compete with a league that can start 6 receivers. So players that we can try to move. We can try to look at Jalen Hurts, a tier down. Should be easier in one quarterback. Brees. I don't really think you can tear down from Olave at this point, but I'll throw him in there. There's no other name that people are going to be willing to tear down for. So let's start with Jalen Hurts. Now remember, if you turn your 111 into Daniels or Caleb, we don't really need a quarterback back in a tier down. But let's have a look at a team that we think can compete and is a Jalen Hurts away. For example, Mingo ate my baby. That's perfect. He's got Goff. He's got an incredible wide receiver room. And he's got Trey McBride. And the 107. Okay, so can we get the 107 and McBride? Here's an option. The 107 and McBride. And we'll give you Hurts. And let's start at the 211 here. Let's see if that's possible. That solves your tight end issue for the future. And that the 107, we can go out and target a Xavier Worthy, maybe a LaMcConkey, maybe a Bryan, maybe a Brooks. So that would be actually fantastic for you. And you know what? You can also offer him Noah Fant back in that deal. Trying to be realistic in a one quarterback format. I don't think you can get your hands on CeeDee Lamb. But let's say they were able to give you you might as well have him throw in Kirk Cousins there so you have a quarterback. Let's just see if you can pull something like that off. The other option is to go the Devonta Smith route. So you give him Jalen Hurts, and you want Devonta Smith plus the 107. And you're going to give him Hurts and Diggs. How about that? Jalen Hurts and Stephon Diggs for Devonta Smith and the 107. I think that makes sense. And in fact, I think you could probably add Diggs here to get that deal done where you can get Cousins. And maybe that actually puts us in golf range. I don't know. So that's an option. Let it loose. Already has Kyler Murray. So I don't really see him as a option here. Trevor Lawrence, Jordan Love. Maybe Uncle Bozy. Like, the way you would do this with Uncle Bozy is you would send him Hurts. You'd get back Herbert. And you want his first in the future. And you're going to give him like a third. See if that's something that you can do. If a third doesn't work, maybe you'll have to throw in a second. Just don't make it this year. Make it in a future year. And outside of that, I really don't think you have another option to sell Jalen Hurts. Everyone else's team is already stacked. How about Breece Hall? How about Breece Hall? We need to find a good team that has bad running backs. And are you kidding me? Is a great target here. For example, if we can find our way into Tank Dell and Brandon Ayuk, Breece Hall for Tank Dell, Brandon Ayuk, maybe we look at doing that. This is tough. I mean, you're not... I'll just say this. If you can turn Breece straight into a Amon-Ra, I think that's maybe more ideal. Because we know we can build around Amon-Ra St. Brown long run. But that's another option. Maybe you add on like a pick swap. I'm trying to make sure I properly value running backs in a one quarterback format. This guy's a good option, but he really has nothing to offer us. Like, we're not going to build around an aging running back. I guess Waddle, but there's no one else to make it make sense. I guess what you could ask for is Waddle and Pickens. I'll throw it out there as an option. I just don't think it's going to work. Waddle plus Pickens. And again, we'll do a pick swap. Send him Brees in a second. Let's do a second and 26. Let's not be getting rid of our seconds next year because we're clearly not going to be a good team if we pull off some of these deals. All right, how about Teabaggers, sorry, who has Puka. And he also has TJ Hawkinson. Can we potentially get Puka Nacua and Laporta? So Breece Hall. We want to find our way into Puka and Laporta. We're going to give you Breece Hall. And Fant's not going to move a mountain, is he? What can we offer this guy to get him excited? Breece Hall and Stephon Diggs, maybe? He's already got TJ Hawkinson. Maybe that's something that might interest him. But I'd rather build around Puka and Laporta long term for you as you're trying to do like a 1-year punt or a mini little rebuild here. I like the idea of trading with this team, but he has nothing to offer us. I don't mind the idea of like an Achan London. Or even the 101. If we can find our way into the 101 and get Marvin here. So how about we send Breece and we get the 101. And we're going to ask him to also send us the 202. And we're going to send him Breece and the 311. See if that piques his interest at all. You turn that into Marvin and something at the 202. All right, we could turn him into Jamar Chase. Yeah, something like Breece for Chase and Zamir. Maybe Zamir breaks out and you have an extra asset that you can sell long term. But I think the guy who has Saquon and CMC is not going to really care. The guy who has Bijan and Etienne is not going to care either. So I think for Breece and Hurts, those are your main options. For Olave, look, we can look at it. I just personally don't really want to move Olave. But who needs wide receiver? Yeah, I mean, what? There's not a single wide receiver there we want to tear down to. I guess if we can go to JSN. If we can get JSN and Kincaid, that's great. JSN and Kincaid will send you Olave and Diggs. That seems pretty fair. And maybe you could add on a pick swap as well. Can't tear down to London, obviously. We could tear down to... Nope. Nothing makes sense there. I really don't think you can use Waddle as a tear down personally. But going to Metcalf would be interesting, but who else are we adding here? There's nothing there that guy has to offer us. If you can turn Olave into Collins, I really like that. Okay, something like Olave. If Collins' value really is what it says in the community, you can get Olave, Collins and Pitts, send Olave and Diggs, maybe. Diggs and Fant. Maybe you add on a second for you and you send a third. That's another idea. Build around Collins and Pitts over Olave and Diggs long term. But yeah, I don't think there's another natural tier down here. Tank Dell, maybe. Maybe we ask for Tank Dell and if you can get Tank Dell in the 103, that might be spicy. I just don't think that's possible. But Dell in the 103, we're going to send you Olave and Diggs again. So that's another option for you. Then at the 103, you can go ahead and take Rome Odunze or Neighbors if he's there. But yeah, again, looking at the team, I don't think anyone else is going to be a tier down option. Like, you can't tier down, you know, to Alvin. But in a one quarterback, what I will say is you might be able to get a first for Alvin from the right team. So I'll just add him as well. Like, if you can get a first, Kamara or Diggs, any first in any year, you take that. I don't think it's possible, but you take it. Deontay Johnson, excuse me. Deontay, I would hold until in season and hope that he starts producing to sell. But names like Lockett and, geez, I don't know, like Lockett and Zeke. Lockett, Zeke, Dobbins, Mitchell. If you can get, you know, a late second, early third, and one quarterback for any of those names, I think you pull the trigger. But yeah, if I had your team, that's the direction I would be moving towards. What's up, WG? Welcome in, my man. Daniel says he likes Leggett over Pearsall. Yeah, I do too, actually. Or I have them right beside each other. Sorry, I should put Leggett there. That's my bad. I do have Pearsall one spot ahead, but I like both. But that's a path forward I would take. Yeah, you're definitely not competing with like the top names in your team, in your league, excuse me. Especially not with how big your starting lineup is. So I'm definitely super open to looking at options here if I were you. But at the same time, don't force it. Like, don't undersell Jalen Hurts. He should be very valuable in one quarterback still. Don't undersell Breece Hall. You should get the world for Breece Hall. You know, don't undersell Chris Olave. Like, these are guys that you can still build around. You don't have to sell them. They're all young assets. Hopefully that's helpful. Feel free to jump on the next stream and let us know if you had any questions that we didn't answer well. But yeah, if I can help it, I try not to rebuild. But I think in your scenario, it's probably best to look at all tear down options. That's what I'll say. Like, just look at your options. Doesn't mean you have to tear down, but look at what the options are on the table to you, and go from there, right? But that is going to be it for today, guys. I appreciate y'all big time. Again, if you want your team reviewed, it's super simple. I'll put a link in the chat. You can either be a yearly Motherflocker member and get a complimentary review, or you can click the link in the chat. Doesn't matter what promo code you use that sign up, you can still get a team review from us on a live stream. I'm going to make sure I send this over in the DMs on the Flock Fantasy site. Big shout out to Jeff, by the way. Appreciate the love, man. Appreciate the support. Make sure this sends through to you. Come on. And we got that all done. So we are fresh, ready to go. If you do submit a review, you will probably be first in queue. We appreciate y'all big time. See you on the next stream. All love.